we met a couple of days ago and it was a very interesting meeting with you. What does the world's most connected man do?
Yeah, about 10 years ago, I had this idea that if I knew as much about my life as my computer, I could probably be healthier, happier, and live better.
Mhm.
And slowly over the last 10 years, I've become known, if you go to Google and just type in most connected, as the world's most connected human. And all that really means is I use a bunch of different devices and pieces of software and services to create feedback loops for myself to remind myself to be healthier and happier. Everyone does this every day with their phones. I just was a very early adopter. And yes, last week was my first time ever sharing the stage with a social robot like Pepper. It was really cool.
See, and spontaneously you said maybe Pepper and you could have babies together.
Well, I just think that if you're going to have a future overrun by cybernetics and robots, it probably should be one that would be maybe Pepper in mind. But I don't know if I'm Pepper's type.
I'll ask Pepper later.
Okay.
But I'm curious, if you're so connected with all the apps and all the information, how is it going?
So, I mean, there's a bunch of different ways that people can keep track of their lives. You know, for me, most of my days are kind of mapped out on a device that shows me, you know, how I'm spending my time on my computer versus where am I spending my time versus, you know, what am I eating? What am I listening to? How have I spent my time the entire day? I mean, that's one way. That takes a lot of effort. For me, normally what I like to do is just have reminders throughout the day that things are going well or things are not going well. So instead of having a bunch of push messages that say you're running late for this or you need to do that or don't forget this, they're more focused on helping me to be more present with people. And, you know, like everyone else, I have really great days and really bad days. For example, a lot of people today measure their sleep. If I have a bad night's sleep, I don't look at the data because it makes me feel really uncomfortable because I don't want to know how bad it was. Yeah.
Going back to businesses, how can businesses engage with new technologies, or how can businesses measure and then engage with new technologies? That's our field at Arabesque, is a lot of communication and new technologies. And obviously a part of communication is also measuring. We also want to analyze and we want to have data and we want to measure and then we want to do things better. As I can say from our perspective, for example, social robots are going to be much more in our lives. So what is your opinion on that?
Well, it's difficult because I believe, you know, I'm 52 years old and I've seen a lot of technology and a lot of measurement over the last 20 years. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I think we've been focusing so much on measuring, we're forgetting maybe a more important first step, and that's deciding what's important. Mm-hmm. And we now are in a culture where we're given metrics before we've even decided if what they're measuring is actually something we value. Mm-hmm. There's a great quote by a mathematician that says, we don't know how to measure what we care about, so we care about what we measure.
Right, yeah.
And I think a lot of businesses today are so anxious to have any type of measurement, whether it's important or not. It's just like, because at least then they feel like they can manage something. So I truly believe the future is really going to be a shift away from kind of the metrics of industry, the up and to the right, the hockey sticks, and all the kind of true engagement and more vanity level metrics, and more toward, I think, what I would call planetary metrics. So we're seeing a major shift on not only being more physically well, but being more mentally well. And we're also seeing a major shift on being well planetarily to the climate and to society. And of course, those metrics, you know, those are ones we could manage to that would have a very positive impact. So I think the future is very, very exciting once we decide collectively what's important to all of us. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think it's so important, especially with young people today who are hyper connected. I mean, young people today, you know, it's so unfortunate. We're so hard on technology, yet we expect people to be on it. Mm-hmm. It's like if everyone had to swim and we boiled the water, it's just like people have to swim, so don't boil the water, right?
I have one last question, and I'm very curious about that. So, where do you see yourself in somewhere like 1 year from now?
Just December 2020. Probably I'll be almost done with my next book. I've been taking a lot of time to really get it together. Mm-hmm. And I think there's probably a good chance there'll be a new addition to my family. I'll be almost done with that next book. There'll be a new addition to the family, and I'll probably be partnered with a pretty significant organization full time. Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sure.
You've spent a lot of time with Pepper on stage and
Yes.
a lot of time with Pepper.
Yeah.
When you look at Pepper, what do you see?
I see a very interactive robot. I see a very well-designed robot. I think it's the entry to robotics into the human world, actually, because there is no other social robot which is as nice or cool or fancy as Pepper. People receive Pepper in general very well. They don't receive other social robots so well. You see Pepper's listening well.
Yeah.
A lot of future potential as well, also for next generations. And Pepper can be programmed with a lot of interesting features, and also artificial intelligence in voice is a very, very interesting feature. So Pepper can actually speak to people in a very high rhythm, like we know it from the robot Sophia. And that just is a whole new level for people, because they actually want to ask robots questions. Yeah, that's what I see in Pepper.
Because being on stage with her was really, it shifted my perspective a little bit. I'd seen her at many events, and I'd never had a chance to work with Pepper. And after working with Pepper on stage and seeing her in video with you, I think I could easily see myself in 5 years, 10 years, or even as I get older, wanting a social robot, just because those two technologies merging, like you said, Pepper, because it just seems natural. It seems like an evolution.
It's very, very interesting. Thank you so much, Chris. And I hope our ways cross again. It was a great pleasure.
Thank you so much. And thank you for being at the event. Bye-bye. Bye, Pepper.
All right. Bye-bye.
I appreciate you.